Hey everybody, it's Halloween Horror Nights in June. Hey, welcome to a dedicated Halloween Horror Nights video. You guys are always asking, what do I think about the event altogether, what's been announced, what's been rumored, and everything along those lines. And Halloween Horror Nights tends to be some of the biggest videos that we end up putting up. So thought I'd spend a couple of minutes with you guys, especially since today Universal Orlando had a significant announcement related to the icon of the event, and cheers to those guys. So if you haven't been active on social media, today Universal Orlando announced that Chance, Jack's sidekick, is now stepping into her own light to be the icon of this year's event. And what that means is that Chance will get her own house as well as her own scare zone, as well as being an icon. She's no longer a sidekick, she's stepping out of the shadow of Jack and being featured more prominently. My thoughts initially on this: awesome. There's a couple of underlying things that I think are awesome. One, it's a strong female character for folks to identify with. People love Chance. I think men love Chance for a certain reason or reasons. Women love Chance because she is an equal foil to Jack's persona. So it really drew people in last year, and I think it was the logical step for where things left off with Jack kind of running the show last year. So where they go with this, I'm excited to see. I can see the detraction, though, of just kind of looking at Chance in a light where, they'd want to promote Chance, because the first thing that you think about Chance when you look at her, at least from the outside, for folks that are not looking at this with blinders on just for Halloween Horror Nights, is that she looks remarkably similar to Harley Quinn from the Joker, from Batman. And this year, of course, Suicide Squad, one of the biggest featured movies for the summer, is centered around Harley Quinn and the Joker. So I think that there's probably some synergy in there that the team is hoping for to try to drive the event and some type of recognition. Hopefully it works out for them, and there's not too much brand confusion between the DC brand and the Halloween Horror Nights brand. But I'm excited to see where exactly this is going to go. Let's talk about what we know so far. The event has dates that have been announced. It's running from September 16th through October 31st this year. Single day add-on tickets as well as vacation packages are on sale. What's not on sale yet, what I would anticipate being on sale shortly, are multi-day. Okay, so this just in, of course, when I sit down to go to edit the video a couple hours after I recorded the video, there was posts on Twitter at least regarding the ticket prices. Ticket prices are not on the official site yet, but I believe people posted a link that might be part of the site but just not connected yet. So I would expect that to come within the next day or a couple of days, including multi-date tickets. The multi-date tickets, at least for the site that was linked on Twitter from some folks, looks like it was a little bit more of a jump from last year. Some folks are saying between $50 or $100 more for the Frequent Fear Pass. But one thing that they did have this year is an everyday pass, which, at least if the prices remain true, at the time that we saw the site earlier, it was like $600 for every day, which basically broke down to about $19 and change for each day that you went. So extremely pricey, but if you broke it down over the amount of days, not so bad. Now back to your programming. I would anticipate that should be at least put out, I would imagine, by the end of the month, at least by the end of June, because I believe it's the same time every year for folks to start gearing up. We're less than 100 days away from the event, so that is exciting. We know that auditions have happened, so a lot of our favorite scare actors from years past are back again this year. They won't be in the same roles, and I love not knowing exactly what roles they'll be in until we find out when we're approached by them in the scare zones or houses. That's one of my favorite moments of Halloween Horror Nights every year, is trying to guess who's who. And that said, as far as houses, it's widely rumored or believed that we would probably get 9 houses again this year to be in line with what we had last year. as well as scare zones. We had 5 scare zones last year, I believe, with the roaming scare zone on top of that. As far as the houses that have been announced so far this year, The Exorcist, probably the scariest movie of all time for me. Literally thought that my bed was floating when I was a kid for years. Whenever I had a bad dream, at least, it was related around The Exorcist. You cannot watch that movie without some type of fear that that could be real, because we've been led to believe that that is real. Especially with the Cinemax television show that's on now, Outcast, based around exorcisms as well. I think that there's going to be a good momentum of things centered around the exorcism type factor. How they pull off the Exorcist house, I'm cautiously optimistic. I know that they've basically said that the house would kind of envelop you and suck you into the whole movie, and maybe more of a visceral type experience. I'm not sure I know what to expect from that, because the movie generally takes place in one room of the house. And I don't know if you'd be able to walk through multiple rooms in a haunted maze and experience the same type of setting in each place, but the jury will be out on that. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, based off of the original, one of my favorite horror movies. It's not necessarily only a horror movie, I think it's more of a real thriller and tense movie to focus on. I know that they have stated so far, the creative team, Mike Aiello and folks, that they are looking to really build this around the entire family and not just Leatherface. That's what I'm looking for. I don't want to see 50 Leatherfaces jumping out of every corner at me, because that's not what the movie's about. Although I think that it's a wonderful property to build a house around. I'm very excited for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The Walking Dead is back. Now, we know that Walking Dead is a polarizing type of an attraction for folks. If you follow me on social media, I tweeted a couple of times last week to let folks know that I was not trying to troll folks or joking around. I even posted the picture, if you guys are familiar with the Seinfeld episode of George getting grapefruit pulp in his eye and having to go like this to make people believe that he wasn't winking at them, like it was an inside joke. I am genuinely excited about The Walking Dead again this year at Halloween Horror Nights. I know last year was a dud. The prior year with the Giant House, to me, was kind of like hit and miss along the way. Bigger isn't necessarily always better, but what they're gearing up this house to be this year is kind of like the best of. So it's season 1 through the current season, where we'll get Herschel's barn, we'll get, I think, the prison scene, all the way up to the wolves of this year. And I'm not necessarily sure that we're only going to see walkers in there, because the press release has kind of really alluded to the fact that we would encounter what the survivors are encountering along the way, as well as the wolves and the folks from season 6. So I'm very much interested in seeing what they can do with that property this year. We get the announcement today of the Chance House. So what do I expect from a Chance House? Maybe we can get some of the other icons, but I think more likely we'll get clowns. Number one thing that folks reacted to in any of our Halloween Horror Nights videos over the last couple of years has been the use of clowns. People are terrified of clowns. Every Scarezone video that we've put out, that is the thing that folks react to the most. Second to Jack being on stage and having his show last year. So I think that we'll probably get a lot of clowns. This may be, Halloween Horror Nights every year does a 3D house. Perhaps this is the 3D house for this year. I think it kind of makes sense. Busch Gardens with Howl-O-Scream on an annual basis does their 3D house based off of clowns. I think it's a good property to kind of focus their 3D effects around. Let's talk about scare zones for a minute, because the only scare zone that we know about right now is the Chance Scare Zone, and that's only because of what was mentioned on Twitter today. I don't think that the announcement that the Halloween Horror Nights team had globally really had that much meat to it, so you didn't really know that it was a scare zone that they were bringing for Chance as well, in addition to a house, besides her being the icon, unless you peeled back the onion a little bit and actually followed on social media. That said, as far as the other street experiences, the Purge franchise has another movie coming out this summer. I would certainly expect them to bring back the Purge in at least one of the scare zones, if not maybe a couple of the scare zones. Reason being that Purge brings folks to the event every year, and I think the younger generation genuinely loves Purge. There's different things that they could do, and I could say, you know, the Purge zone that they did 2 years ago with the auctions on the bus was a really effective scare zone. We put up a video, you know, kind of detailing all of the scare zones for the event 2 years ago, and folks legitimately thought it was real when the Purgers were taking people and putting them into their van and kind of auctioning them off. That type of realism, I think, is phenomenal for this type of an event. So I would expect to see Purge. We know that the Chance Scare Zone is going to be implemented as well, so we'll have to wait and see what else we could possibly see. Maybe with Chance being there, maybe there is some type of ability to bring in like another icon-y type scare zone. The Icon Scare Zone last year, favorite of all time, hands down. I do want to talk about house location also and scare zone location, because the park is really fairly under construction this year. So the area over towards San Francisco, where last year we were still able to go through the run house and we had the scare zone for the all-night die-in, that area is kind of walled off at this point. I'm not sure if we'll see a scare zone over in that particular area this year, although it is a heavily trafficked area from folks exiting from the Bill and Ted show to go towards the front of the park in those soundstage houses. But there will not be any house that was formerly in like the disaster extended queue over there. Instead, we know that there's been construction taking place beyond the Men in Black ride. So we're placing another house over there instead of over where Run is. I think that that's going to be fairly congested at this point. So, you know, if anybody has gone to the event in prior years, you know that when you exit out of Bill and Ted's, it's like a sea of people, logistical nightmare type of thing. And now this year we'll have another house, in addition to the Men in Black ride typically being open at that time as well. There's going to be a lot of people. So I wonder if they'll put the scare zone that was outside of Run outside of Men in Black this year, because it kind of makes sense, but we'll have to see how things go. And talking about shows, we know Bill and Ted will be back this year. As far as the second show, the theater where Beetlejuice was performing is torn down at this point. Last year they utilized the streets in Hollywood to put the Jack show on, and I thought it was really well done, even though when we looked at the construction beforehand and the stage was gigantic, we didn't know how the traffic flow would be, but it turned out to be really successful. I would think that this year a second show may be put back into that location. As far as the second show, genuinely do not have any idea. The only thing that I can go based off of is that there's been so much speculation about Penn and Teller's involvement in the event this year that maybe there'd be some type of Penn and Teller type show that they would implement on that stage where the Jack show was last year. As far as Penn and Teller themselves being there, highly doubtful, but maybe something along that line. You know, a couple years ago we had that, and of course I can't remember the name off the top of my head, the like Psycho Circus type thing, where it was kind of like the freak show circus. Maybe something like that, maybe something, you know, more along the lines of Penn and Teller's type brand of magic. But I would think that that would be in that stage. So that's what we know so far. I figure we pass on the news to you. What do you guys think? What are you looking forward to seeing at Halloween Horror Nights this year? We're only 100 or less days away, and time is flying by. So before you know it, we're going to know everything. We could talk more about the rest of the stuff that gets announced when it's announced. And let's get ready to enjoy the event together. So on that note, thank you for all of your likes. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your subscriptions. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Have a great night. We'll see you guys. Subscribe to the cheap seats, or he's gonna kill me. Subscribe to the cheap seats, otherwise he'll be looking in your dreams for you. And by the way, one closing thought here. As far as the icons go, Chance, wonderful, but who wouldn't have wanted to see the Usher this year, especially after the performance last year? Bring back the Usher. Bring back the Usher. Do it.